This is the Synology DS918 Plus and the Asus RT-AX86U Wi-Fi 6 router. We're connecting the two. We're making good use of them. People have a lot of questions, and in this video, I'm going to be answering them. Welcome back to another video. Today we're answering those questions that people have been asking, and we're going to do it in a way that's going to make sense for everybody to make better purchasing decisions and or fix their issues that they might be having. Now, this isn't going to solve every problem. It's going to solve the problems that we're discovering as we move along and answer the questions people are having as they move into the new technology. Wi-Fi 6 is something that's come out in the last few years, and yes, if you have the 88U, the AX88U by Asus or one of the other makers, you will see that those routers came out a couple years back. These are the newer ones, so everybody's upgrading, and then we're going to have a Wi-Fi 6E coming out in the soon future that is moving faster than I ever thought. So here we are, right? And basically, what do you need with the Wi-Fi 6 and how does that all fit the narrative of you making the upgrade? And do you really need to spend a lot of money on one of these fancy routers? Can you go for something smaller and more affordable? Everybody should have a budget when they're investing into these two things, period. You need to be invested in a way where it makes sense for you, with a budget that relates to your workflow, that relates to how you're going to be upgrading down the road. And at that, how does this all fit the narrative for you and maybe your personal side of things, your family, and say you have a lot of people at the house, or if it's your business and you have people working. So that being said, I will leave timestamps below that will cover the basics in the first half of the video, so you'll see those, and if you want to skip ahead, I will have the more complicated, kind of like confusing questions that we've had and we've been doing tests on, and all the stats. So I will leave the time marks, and please jump ahead. Now, I have done full reviews on all of these units, and I've done it on the 86U, the 88, the 82, and at that, the full reviews are there, but for the purposes of this video, I'm comparing the 88 and the 86 because those are the two I still have. Let's get going on this. Wi-Fi 6. When you have a Wi-Fi 6, I want to really put this out there. Your Wi-Fi 6 gets 2.4 gigabit speed. It's huge. When you're reading the stats on the actual routers, the routers will say something like 6,000, megabits. And the reality is, if you're connecting a lot of things, it can output to that max speed. It's a combination. But in any one connection, you can't get more than 2.4 with Wi-Fi 6. Wi-Fi 6E will be a little bit different, but it's not out yet. So, don't stress it. Don't stress it, because most of the units that you have don't have Wi-Fi 6. And this is a question we're getting a lot. Well, my speed isn't going as fast as you are showing, or as other people are showing. Well, that's because you probably have either A, the setup in the router not proper, or you don't have a Wi-Fi 6 device. I've made a video on upgrading a laptop, an XPS 9570, so that you can see the process. Click on the link, it'll take you to the Amazon so you can see the actual chip, and then go searching to find the cheapest one for you and your compatible PC. You'll see what it looks like, you'll see the name of it, you'll see all that. It'll make it easier for you, and you'll see how I upgraded it. When we're looking at the speed will not always be consistent. There's different factors. Your distance, how many people are in the network, what are you actually doing, where is everything coming from, what is your connection, and what are you actually trying to achieve? The speed will be variable. It isn't assumed. It's not a, hey, I'm hitting this max speed. It's an assumed speed. If you have a 1 gigabit speed coming into the house, you're not going to get more than 1 gigabit speed from any of these routers. You're still going to get gigabit speed. On the back, this router does have a 2.5 gigabit speed connection. The fastest I've heard from ISP providers is that they're literally at 1.5 gigabit speed, and that's it. So I haven't seen anything more. Now, I live in Canada, and in the rest of the world, there might be something faster. But, when we do get to 2.5, this router will still be applicable, and now you're going to be able to get full Wi-Fi speed from the internet. So when it's connected through the router through the wall, the cable coming in to the modem that they give you, and then from that modem, it connects into your router, and then you're getting that 1 gigabit speed. That's sharing 1 gigabit speed. When you connect one of these things up to this router, now we can actually get to about 2 gigabit speed with this, which is amazing. And that's within the network. The network's going to allow you to do that internally. So your speed with the internet will not change. And we need to make this concrete because we're being asked this a lot. And people are wondering about that because these routers are being advertised that they're super fast. And how does it play out? Well, when you have one of these high-powered routers, you're getting more distance, you're getting more power being sent out. There is a higher CPU, better CPU in there that's stronger, and of course more RAM than the smaller units, which means you can connect more computers to them. So when you're reading stuff like a 4x4 or 3x3, or sorry, 3x3, 4x4, or 2x2 antennas, that is the connections that are being made through these antennas to devices. And you can connect more or less devices with different units to maintain a speed. So if you have a lot of people in the house, you want to get one that's stronger router. If you have less people in the house, do you need one of these? You have to ask yourself that, and does it fit your budget? At the same time, if you're working somewhere in your office, say, and you got 5 or 6 people and you're doing stuff, will this work for you? You have to ask yourself, what is the use case that is existing there? Then you can go make a good decision on making a purchase on one of these. Do you need to spend the more money? It's a difference of like 100 or 200 bucks sometimes. So you want to ask yourself that. When we're looking at connecting one of these Synology boxes to the network, to one of these routers, we always want to ask ourselves, can we do link aggregation or bonding, okay, with one of these routers? Now, if you're trying to get faster speed from this unit, you want to be able to make these landlines capable of doing link aggregation. Now, what is link aggregation? Link aggregation is when you connect 2 of those landlines and you bond them so they become one line. Why? Because a unit like this, and most NAS systems will have this, it has 2 connections, and these are gigabit lines. So when this connects into the router, we can bond that and make 2 gigabit speed, which means what? Means I can move at the speed rate of these drives. I can get these drives going up to like 225 to 250 megabytes per second, which means you can edit off of it. It's amazing, just amazing. And you can literally work off this box if you wanted to. And you can store everything here and you're good to go. Now, the idea becomes, what Synology box do you need? Or what NAS system do you need? You can go to the website and actually click on there and actually see what would you need based on your use case patterns and what you're developing at home as a network and what do you need overall. And you can look at other systems like QNAPS has one, and we want to look at the type of connection, because some of these connections you can literally do Thunderbolt 3 and you're off to the races with a lot of space. Now, when you're connecting into the network, you could use something like this on the back and connect it, right? Or you connect one of these directly to your computer with a Thunderbolt 3. Now, when we're bonding these, it means that you're going to have an assumed rate of 2 gigabit speed. It doesn't mean you're going to get, for sure, 2 gigabit speed. The more powerful the router, the more streamlined the data transfer is, and you're not going to have those cutouts and the ups and downs. Your Wi-Fi 6 connects to this, and I can literally stream or transfer data at that speed to my laptop. Now, granted, I got to be within 15 to 20 feet. On average, it's around 10 to 15, but I've seen it work plenty within 20 feet. Again, this is amazing because people will tell me, well, I hate being locked into a landline, you know, and with one of these. And I hate being like that. I want to edit on my laptop. I want to do stuff on my laptop. And it's like, now you can. Now you can. Again, your peripheral devices that are connecting to any kind of system, kind of like these hard drives, okay, can all connect within these units. And now you can have more space and have something that's mobile and you can take it on any kind of like work that you're doing. This all comes back to one fundamental. Your devices that you're using need to be Wi-Fi 6 capable to reach those speeds. If not, we revert back to the basic speeds that we've had before. And we're looking at, for the further the distance, you're actually going to go down to that 2.4. That being said, you have so many things connected. Like even in this studio, I got 16 things connected at any one time with all the smart devices, this, that, they're all connected. So the reality becomes, you're not going to use Wi-Fi 6 for everything because a lot of these don't use Wi-Fi 6. They're just using the 2.4 gigahertz network. Even you streaming to your TV, the 4K TV, you don't need anything more than the 2.4 gigahertz network. So we got to think about what devices do we actually have, and is it worth jumping to this yet, or are you going to be buying stuff in the future within a year or two, and then is that still worth it to buy something like this? That being said, we need to make this decision based on what is good for our budget. And when you're looking at all these, you have to ask yourself, how much money are you willing to A, invest, or B, spend, depending on what you're doing with everything. This is fundamental. You need to remember this. Why? Because these two things will connect and they will work, and there's a timeline on them. They're not going to be there forever. Eventually you want to upgrade. I'm looking for some new Synology hardware, and I might be upgrading this. My hard drives are still good. Now these hard drives, I paid a lot of money for them, but they're still good. Your question has to become, what am I going to do in order to be able to prove to myself that I'm making a good decision, so I'm happy with my decision? The way I do it is I can look at this, and in Canada, this is like $300. And it's come down to sale for like $270, which means in the States, it's like what, $220, $250, depending on the sale, right? So you look at it, and I'm going to just go with my $300. I look at it and I say, this is going to be good for 3 years. And at 3 years, I'll probably be upgrading in that timeline. That's $100 a year. For me, the Wi-Fi 6 and everything that comes with it, totally worth it. Totally worth it. And between the units that I've tested, I do have the 88U. That's in the other location. And that was the first one I bought. They didn't have anything else. And I compared that with a Netgear one, and then that one was way better. That's why I kept it. But, this is like the $100 a year is amazing for me. It's just like, it's a no reason not to go buy one of these. On the other hand, the Synology box. Okay, one of these boxes can go, in Canada, we're like around, $900. And then you need to buy each hard drive, which could go $300 to $500, depending on what you're choosing. And you look at that and you say, well, what's going to happen with my hard drives? Well, my hard drives can go for 5 years. So I'm going to rate those different on the yearly versus the box, because the box I can just take these out and upgrade the box, and we're off to the races. And then I can just sell the box, or I can keep the box and do something else with it depending on what I want to do, and just get cheaper hard drives for it. Okay, you name it. But again, I'm doing it based on the yearly. What is my yearly cost? That way I can justify whatever I'm doing, and I'm good to go. I put it in my books, I'm good to go. I'm like, I know, okay, exactly where we're at and what is occurring with anything that we're doing. This is how you need to structure yourself in thinking about connecting these two things together, and is this what you really need? Based on your budget and then your workflow. For us, I'm connecting this, and I was going to set this up as a server, and then I ended up just using it as a backup. I'm not doing the things I was planning on doing because we're using Google, and the way our workflow is structured with the lockdowns, with everything happening, I'm not using it the way it was intended to when I purchased it. And this is why, do I really want to go upgrade to a DS918, the newer model, because this is the 18, and I'm perfectly happy right now. I got no issues with it. However, with the newer stuff, you need to look at that and say to yourself, what is it that you actually need? Now, moving on to some more important questions that people have been asking me based on whether they've purchased it or are going to be purchasing it, and what are the issues we've discovered. Since I've purchased this, there's been some issues. And they've developed over time, and I think it is because of the updates. I'm still getting in contact with the companies, trying to figure out what it is. But the reality is that the numbers have dropped. And then again, there's been updates. What is interesting to me, And one thing that you should know when you're purchasing anything, it's the question is the company that your ISP provider is and what modem you're using. That will have sometimes an effect, and you need to note that and be aware of that, because issues do arise, and then you sit there and you go, what's happening? Now, when I upgraded my modem from Rogers, my speed is not hitting the gigabit speed I was getting. I thought it was maybe the router. I thought maybe it was my my lines. And I thought maybe it's some kind of conflict that's occurring, and there was an update that was made as well. I'm waiting for Asus to get back to me on that, because apparently Rogers is like, what do you want? Like, we're theoretical at gigabit speed. You're getting 800, you're good to go. On that note, I upgraded my, whenever you buy one of these units and whatever comes from your ISP provider, you get Cat 5 or Cat 6 landlines. You want to upgrade those. So you want to jump in and get a Cat 7 or a Cat 8. You will see significant difference with transfer speeds, even like it's just more stability overall. Now, if you have an older modem, those ones, it was hard to monitor the max speed, so they would cap it, but they would cap it in a way where the modem, if you connected a Cat 8 line, I was getting in my last modem, I was getting 200 megabits per second higher than what I was paying for, and that was just because the cable sucked, and the way they were cropping or stopping the speeds or blocking it was not effective. They were actually going over, but the Cat 5 cables wasn't fast enough anyways to move that. So something to think about. Cat 8 cables will make a difference with many different technologies that exist. When I am looking at some fundamental questions that people have asked me, there's this 4 terabytes, and somebody asked me specifically on this, so I'm making this video, originally it was for this person, a 4 terabyte drive. And there is my 1 terabyte NVMe drive. Now, this is a good backup. This is how people usually start. I made videos on this and this. Now, this is something I can take around, and this one is a fast drive, but again, when you take this out, you see that this will connect with a Type-C cable, and the unit will go up to about 800 to 900 megabytes per second, and it will max out there. So I'm not getting the full 3,000 megabytes per second with this drive, which is fine, because to get one of those like high-end cases, they're about $200-300, and it's just I don't use it enough to justify the numbers. Now, on the back here, you'll see that the Asus router has 2 USBs, and these will connect. Now, in theory, they should be going super fast, but there are some issues, and basically, I will be showing you now the difference between these two and when you connect it to the Synology box. For the values to make real sense, what I've done is taken the Crucial and the 4 terabyte Seagate. I've connected them to the NAS system. Now, the Crucial, again, is a 1 terabyte NVMe drive. It goes super fast. The casing, though, the external casing, takes me up to about 720 to 800 megabytes per second. So the baseline is here, where we're seeing reading from the NAS, sending it over to the Crucial at top speed of 244 megabytes per second. This was the average, and then 220 for the write speeds. So we're hitting top notch with this NVMe drive when we're connected it through the USB to the NAS. When we look at the 4 terabyte, you will see 2 volumes here. Somebody commented and asked me about the splitting of a 4 terabyte into 2 terabytes, what would occur, and these are the values we're getting. So we're averaging, and it's really interesting because I can average here around 115 on average with the 4 terabyte as one, but here we are at 125 for the volume 1, 97 for the volume 2, and of course with the writing to the volumes, we're at 100 and 105. So when you're seeing the reading, oftentimes what we'll see is a higher reading for split volumes, and then the first volume will be faster. And this is why typically back in the day, they would tell you if you split the drive, put the C drive on the first volume, because it is faster there, but not significantly faster. So we're looking at this and we're saying, okay, where is the average on this? How does this really fit the narrative? And really this should be around 110 to 115, max 120. However, I did get 125. I tested this several times, different files, And yeah, very interesting to me. But this is what we were getting. Now, when we're looking at the writing of the USB of the Crucial and the 2 volumes through the Asus AX86U and the AX88U, I tested both. These were the averages. So we're seeing the Crucial go up to 62 megabytes per second, and then the Volume 1 and the Volume 2 averaging around like 41, 42. And these are megabytes per second, I guess. Again, so we're looking at nice, fast speeds that we were seeing with the NAS decrease drastically here. Huge drop. At the same time, when I'm looking at it in terms of reading from the USB, we now have faster reads, which is normal and we should expect it, but you know, it's almost double. And you look at this and you go, between the 3, we already have a baseline for the XPS and for the Crucial and the NAS. So when the XPS is moving stuff here, and again, we're moving from Crucial, we're moving it through the router to the XPS here, we should be seeing higher numbers for the Crucial. So this is an issue with the router, and the router is slow. Now, there's many things online. I've been researching it for days. I can't, like, you know, I even tried that. Like, somebody was like, oh, it's it's affecting with the Wi-Fi, so you have to put it through tinfoil. And I was like, I wonder if that's correct. Idiot. So what occurs? We're seeing these averages, and this is the USBs. This is the max we can go. I've seen this with other routers in the past. This is a hardware issue for sure, or it is one of the updates that needs to be done for this to work. I doubt you will ever get this fixed by Asus. And that's the bottom line. I've never seen any company actually fix small issues like this. If it is, that would be amazing. But again, these are the differences when we go back to the speeds of what we could get with the baselines of the NAS. These are decreasing substantially, and especially on the right. And what are you typically going to be doing? Well, you're going to be writing as a backup through the Asus. So you can connect this to your router and just, you know, of the Asus routers, whichever one you get, and then you're just connecting, sending stuff over, and you're waiting for it to copy or to back up. Now, the question then begs, does it really matter if it's slow? Not really. Okay, it really doesn't. So you would want a faster read speed if you need your stuff, and that's almost double. But like, if you're just backing up, you're just moving stuff over, it's an extra backup, and who cares how fast it goes? Like, you're not going to be doing anything else but a backup, right? You can't really do much with this. At the same time, the other thought process that you would want to have is what would occur if you were to have a NAS and then connect the 4 terabyte to it. You'd be getting that 125 to 97. You know, when you're writing to the NAS. So the comparison here is that you're backing up faster to the NAS, through the NAS, okay, when you're doing a read. So if you just want to just back up that 4 terabyte, so you could have a double backup with your 4 terabyte if you have a NAS, instead of having it separate that I've seen people do, where they connect one of these 4 terabytes to their routers so that they can back up there. And to me, it's just, it doesn't make any sense. You might as well just put it to the NAS, and then the NAS picks up everything and moves it over, and now you have a dual backup that's external on that 4 terabyte. Last test I did here was the connection between USBs on the router. So I put both of them on, and I just did copies of these. Again, I'm only showing the volume 2 here, but the volume 1 was the same, 46 and 45. So we're seeing the speeds that are standard across the board. This is something that you got to think about if you're going to connect 2 drives on there and try to back up one to the other. Again, you're getting slow speeds. It's just a backup, but don't expect anything great here to happen. So as you can see there, these 2 drives, they're great. They work great when you're using the Synology, but when you start using it on the router, for some reason, it doesn't work. And yes, I'm waiting for confirmation on that. We'll see what occurs and how that works. On another note, when you're connecting this to units and you're looking at it in terms of transfer speeds with link aggregation. Now again, link aggregation and bonding is when you're connecting 2 lines. So I have 2 Cat A cables. I connect them from the Synology to the Asus, and now I can bond those. I have different options. I can bond them. I can make them so one is the live one and the other one is the backup. So if there's an issue happening, the other one takes over. So there's different scenarios you can set up. You would go into your router and set up the settings so you can actually use link aggregation. On the other end, you would have to go into the Synology box or any NAS system that you're using and go in there and set up the bonding or link aggregation in there. You'll actually see the Synology has like, hey, it's bonded once you connect the two. The issue that's arisen since the updates and since using this, there are two. And the issue is that on the speed has decreased. So, and then at the same time, the bonding has had an issue, and I'm still trying to get answers, but let me show you the numbers of what I mean. The original video I had made, it was a bonded connection. However, with one of the videos I guess the issue popped up and I was trying to figure out what was occurring, but I forgot to set back the settings. And I was actually getting same kind of speeds where it wasn't fully bonded. And I've been doing research about it. Now, this is my top speeds I've managed to do through Wi-Fi 6 to the NAS system. So we're getting the XPS 9570 here in my laptop. It's getting data from the NAS system, so it's reading from the NAS at 220 megabytes per second, and then writing to the NAS is 200. So this is our baseline, really, when it's working at optimal, and when there's no other issues. However, the questions came in and I had to research this some more. And after doing all the updates, going through everything, I'm perplexed a little bit, and I'm waiting for questions to be answered from the companies. But this is the XPS to NAS and NAS XPS. This is bonded and link aggregation. What does this mean? The link aggregation is coming off the Asus, where the bonded is coming off the NAS system. So these are the settings within the two systems, and they're both engaged. It's 113 megabytes per second. When I jump over to the non-link aggregation, so that's turning it off from the Asus, but keeping the bonded on, we're seeing this 112 and 113, so similar speeds, which tells me there's a couple issues here coming from the router, and then I'm looking at the NAS system. When I'm looking at the NAS system now, when I took off bonding, I restarted everything. What I noticed was I'm getting 181 and 172. And this is the reads and writes, and when we compare these should be around 200, 220. And I'm not sure now, is it the updates that were made to Asus? It was the updates that were made to the NAS system. This is kind of like where we're at. And of course, there's the other issue with the NAS that I have over 80% of my data is on the system. So I don't have enough free space, I'm thinking, with the caching, even though there's two NVMe drives in there for caching. So there might be some issue like that. I got to test that scenario out, but I got to figure out how to move my data around. At the same time, I'm looking at this and I'm saying this should not be happening. And there's a fundamental reason for this. Now, what's occurring and what had occurred with that other video as well, what we're seeing here is when these two lines are moving, we're literally seeing this go from splitting the bandwidth between the two lines and sending it over. So one will be a little bit higher than the other, but they will go up a top speed of around 1.5 gigabit speed, 1.4 around there. So we're not hitting that 2.4 like we were when we originally had this, but we're up there. And that's what is occurring. So if you're in the situation and you've tried to do bonding, it's not working, link aggregation is not working, in the settings, when you go in to make a bond, turn that off, and this is what occurred. And I don't know why. I don't know why this is happening for my device. I'm waiting for questions to be answered, but you might be scratching your head as well. And I don't want you like sitting there wasting time. I will be getting feedback from the companies to see what's going on, but as you know, my experience with Asus has been like, you know, horrible at best. With Synology, it's always like, you know, let's figure it out, but never figure anything out. So that's something to be said. So if you have a solution to this and you can leave a comment below, that'd be awesome. I'd love to test it and figure out the scenario to this. To clarify here, you're not going to get fast speeds with these external drives if you want to be backing up things. However, you're just backing up. So do you really need to have anything fast? No, you're going to set it up and you're going to run it. That's all you're going to be doing. So why do you need to worry about this being fast other than if you're using it for something else? And in that case, you need to find a router that's going to be able to handle that bandwidth the way you would need it to. Now, at the same time, if you're going to be backing up your NAS drive, you can see the speeds are fast. And with something like this, I mean, this is good, and you're just backing up anyway, so who cares? On a, if you have 4 to 8 terabytes, you're not gonna be backing up everything unless you really want to do that, in which case you get 2 of these and you're off to the races. I got 2 of these and I could do that myself if I needed to. We do use them for other things, so. And we back up to the Google. Very, very easy. So this is the idea that you need to really focus on, is what is your work case scenario, your workflow scenario? How does that look? How does that feel? And then what do you need with the amount of budget that you have for it? You're treating it as an investment and know you're going to be upgrading down the road. There's no point in spending a lot of money. And I say spending a lot of money because it's not really investing at that point if you're spending way more than what you actually need. Because down the road, you're gonna have to just upgrade anyways. Like, it's been 2 years and I'm like, oh, maybe I should upgrade, but do I really need it? But in a year or two, I know it's definitely gonna be needed. Then what? On the other hand, a question that had come up was mobile devices and these routers. Now, this ran true for both the AX86U and the AX88U. The question was about an iPad. I don't have an iPad. I have an iPad mini that I borrowed from my mom to test this out. And the question was, hey, I'm getting 200 megabits per second, not 300. On the phone, I'm getting 4 to 500 megabits per second. On that iPad mini, I'm getting 200. I was getting 300 when I set up everything when I first got it. So clearly this is an update thing that has happened. I'm not sure from the devices or from the router, most likely the router, but this is a device thing. So this used to go up to like 800, which was my, 8 to 900, which is like the max of that variableness for my SP provider that I'm seeing on my laptop too now. The idea here is when you go to the 2.4 gigahertz network, that goes up to 100 megabits per second for each unit. So that's average on what you're going to be seeing in what I've seen anyway. So some people might have different experiences. At the same time, that is because this is on a Wi-Fi 6 connection, I can get those higher speeds. And this, in theory though, should be able to take me up to 2 gigabit speed. It's only taking me to 1.1. So that's something to think about. To conclude here, the questions were answered based on what was coming in. I wanted to make another video on both these units so that you are aware in case you're trying to make a purchase, or you've made a purchase and you're struggling with the same stupid things I was struggling with. Wasted some time on that, but it was totally worth it until I figured it out. And now that I'm going back, I'm finding, okay, now we got to do some more research to figure this out, but we'll wait for the support to get back to us on a few of these things. If you have the answers or solutions to some of this stuff, and maybe I've totally missed some stuff, leave a comment below and I will test that out and run it through, because I want to just find solutions. So if I've missed something, and even if it's something that's tragic and you're gonna make fun of me, just let me know. I really want to know. And at that, if you have questions, comments, concerns, discrepancies, throw them in the comments below, and I am going to do my best to get back to each and every one.